Okay, today we're looking at getting rid of the charcoal canister on this 2021 Beta 430 RRS. I have not had any problems with the charcoal canister. Some people have had hard starting issues, but the reason I want to get rid of this is because potentially what could happen is if you tip the bike over and it's laying on its side for a while, the fuel will travel up the vent hose line down into the charcoal canister, which is this guy right here, and then eventually it will end up getting sucked through a tube into this line right here that goes directly into the intake. And if the charcoal canister fills up with gas or has a bunch of gas in it and then ends up in your intake, you're going to flood the motor and it's really not going to start. And considering these lithium batteries on these bikes, they don't last very long to begin with, we're going to go ahead and try to remove this. So the first thing you have to do is pull this hose off, pull this hose barb out, and make sure that you have a bolt that will thread into the cylinder, and we'll go from there. Okay, we got the hose barb and washer that came out of the cylinder, and this is a standard, I don't know if it's M8, it's an 8mm bolt. Could be an 8 or a 10 head, depending on where you get it from, but it's a standard Japanese motorcycle bolt. Only problem is this bolt is a little bit too long, and I'm really picky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread this nut on here, and then I'm either going to grind it down with a file or cut it. And the reason you want to put your nut on here is because it gives you a good point of reference as to how long you want this bolt to be so that it matches this right about there. And then also when you back this bolt off the nut, it will chase and clean those threads so that it goes back into the cylinder without mucking the threads up. Okay, we have our hose barb fitting that originally went into the cylinder, and this is our replacement, so we're just going to throw some blue Loctite on there. Okay, so here's the bolt that we replaced that used to have the barb fitting on it. At this point, if a guy wants, you can just actually leave the charcoal canister on the machine. You just want to block that fuel or air from getting into the intake. So what a guy could do is just, if it were me, I would probably put a gas filter on here or something just to filter any air that would make its way through the charcoal canister back up into the vent line. But you could just zip tie this back here and leave the bike totally stock and nobody would ever know. Next is to remove the actual canister located here, and we're going to try to unhook these hoses, figure out where they go, and I might just have to snip a couple zip ties, but it should come out of there pretty easy. Okay. Yeah, this is a really simple design. I'm glad for that. One hose goes to the gas tank. I'm guessing it's this one, and then this is the one that goes to the intake, and then you got a vent line that runs down. So all we should have to do is unhook our hoses, pull the hoses through, and that's it. It's out. Okay, so we got this one up in here, this was on here. You get those unhooked. This line I thought was just going to pull right out, but there's a vent, or not a vent, yeah, see what's trapped in there. That's either gas, that's pure gas in there. Yep. So essentially this was designed so that you could pull this cap off and drain the gas. But if you have so much gas from tipping over that it's, fills this holes up, it's going to fill up this canister, and then it's going to end up in your intake. Okay, next step is you just take this and just pull it right out. This is the line that originally went into the side of the cylinder. So this line connects to the vent line for the gas tank, so we're going to find out how to disconnect that next. What we're going to do is pull our vent line off here for the fuel tank, push this down a little bit, get a little slack, and then we're going to come back here and pull this through. Now this line runs underneath the tank, so as everything goes smoothly, you can pull it out. If not, you either have to pull the tank or just snip the lines or plug them or whatever you want to do. Okay, so this is the last line. This is the vent line that runs up to the gas tank, and this is just pulling through. That's so awesome. You gotta assume that they built it that way. Isn't that slick? And that's it. Your charcoal canister is out and all blocked off, so you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so after thinking about it for a while, I decided I'm just going to leave this bracket on here, but I'm going to pull these rubbers off. So essentially these flip like this, and then you just pull them, just work them through. That bends pretty easy. Probably spray a little bit of WD-40 on these so that they just zip right out. Your last step is to take the long hose, the last hose that you pulled out, plug it into your fuel vent line, plug that in, and then we're going to fish this down through, find a nice place where we want to route it, zip tie it up, make sure it's out of the way, it's not going to bind with anything, and then that's it, you're done. Okay, we got our finished vent line hooked up here, run underneath here, back behind this radiator bolt. That vent line just zip ties to this radiator hose and then vents off into the air. The only problem is, for some reason now, the bike doesn't want to start. I don't know what's going on. I'm just kidding. Come on now. Okay, so this is what we got left. 2 straps, a couple hoses, a canister, a barb, and a clamp. That's it. You're done. So this is what your final product looks like after you're done removing the canister. We got our vent line running to this little piece that was in the box from Beta, the box of extras. It just threads into the frame. I could not get mine to thread in. I actually had to egg that out with a small drill bit. So that's it.